This week's Torah reading is Vayakhel, and it discusses the manner in which the Jews got together as a people. It was a very remarkable thing in terms of the generosity of the people in donating the articles that were needed in the construction of the Mishkan, and the craftsmen. It required tremendous skill to the extent that the Ramban raises the question, where did the Jews get that kind of training in sculpting and so on and so forth? Because he assumes that they weren't given that, they didn't have that kind of work in Egypt when they were slaves. That's a topic for a different time. But it did require tremendous skill, and the people were extremely generous. So much so that it's a very fascinating episode over here. It turns out that they not only gave what was needed, but they gave more than what was needed. And this became a problem. The pasuk states that they told Moshe, Marbim ha'am lahavi. The people are giving more, excessive giving, more than we need. So immediately Moshe gave the command to tell people to stop giving, stop donating. We have enough. That is very, very remarkable, because I'm not aware of any contemporary Jewish organizations or any organizations that are charitable organizations and they solicit donations. Has anyone ever said, well, we've collected enough, we have all that we need, and that's it, we're telling people not to donate, stop donating? I'm not aware of any organization that does that. Perhaps there are, I'm just not aware of any, and it would be a big surprise. Because the mentality, and I'm not accusing anybody of being dishonest, although you got to be careful with these things, because there are a lot of causes out there. There are things like GoFundMe, and they're not all 100% honest. There's been cases where it's been shown to be a fraud. Because today, with the internet and so on and so forth, you can raise a lot of money and for something which is not warranted, for something which is not true. So one should be careful. But the idea that Moshe said, that's it. Where the money that we need is a means to an end. It's not an endless phenomenon of just collecting and collecting more. That's an emotion that people have. I think there's a very important lesson over here. And that is that we tend to look at the acquisition of money as the more the better. If you have $1 million, today that's not as great as it used to be, you want more. And then if you have 10 million, you want, it seems to be like certain people pursue wealth in an endless fashion, as though it's automatically a good thing, which it's not. It's not. The attitude a person should have is that money is a means to an end, and he should seek to obtain in a legitimate, obviously righteous way that which he needs. But he should have a sense of when I have what I need. If a person has a sense of what I have what I need, then he'll be happy. But if a person does not have that concept, and he simply is always pursuing, or he sees that there are other people, billionaires and so on and so forth, so, as the rabbis say, who is a wealthy person? The rabbis have a very interesting definition of wealth. It's a very interesting definition. The rabbis ask this question, who is wealthy? They didn't answer it with regard to any kinds of numbers or bank accounts or possessions. Hasomeach b'chelko. Someone who is content, happy with his portion. That's an amazing thing, which means to say that overnight a person can go from being poor to being wealthy without any change in his bank account, simply by recognizing this principle. A person who thought he was poor, then he learns this principle, and now he's content, he's very wealthy. Indeed, you see that all the time. In terms of human happiness, it doesn't correspond to the amount of money that a person has. There are very, very wealthy people who are miserable, because it does bring out certain emotions if you're wealthy. I could have anything I want, so why am I not happy? So you're constantly searching for things that you think will make you happy. On the other hand, people who have a purpose in life, and that purpose gives them a lot of satisfaction, like the ones who built the Mishkan, requires skill and talent, and you're producing something of great value. People who have satisfaction in life don't need that much in the material thing. They don't need. And when they obtain what it is that they need and they're able to pay their bills, then they experience great happiness. So it's not necessarily true that happiness has to do with the acquisition of wealth. It has to do with the obtainment of a very significant purpose in life, which gives you satisfaction, and the ability to sustain it, which generally speaking should not all cost all that money.